Death is always an intruder, even when it is expected. It disrupts our lives and brings grief in its wake. The words of Dr. Billy Graham from his latest book, Nearing Home. And we've been reminded by the president and CEO of the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association, the eldest son of Billy, Franklin Graham, that it was June 14th, 2007, when his mom passed away, and just the impact of that in your dad's life. Franklin, he talks about it throughout the book. Your mom was 87. Your dad says, "I never thought I would outlive my wife of 63 years. I never contemplated living without her."
Yeah. That's
He's
true.
Still
very hard. I think my father and mother may have been more in love in the latter years of their marriage than in the early years. My mother was bedridden for the last several years of her life. And so my father would go in and sit beside her, and they would just hold hands. Now, my father is hard of hearing, and as my mother got older, her voice got lower and weaker. So she would say something and he couldn't hear, and if I was sitting there, I would translate. And I said, you know, Daddy, Mama said this, and I would repeat it, and then Daddy would answer her, but sometimes they would just sit there for hours. They wouldn't say nothing. And if you walked into the room, you felt like you were intruding.
Yes, there was a communion there.
It was just staring at each other in the eye, and their eyes were speaking to each other as they just held hands. So it was for us as children. I mean, it was very tender to see that. Just a great example of love.
Very special that your dad was able to transition his talents and gifts and quiet himself for life at home, being there, because when you were growing up, your dad was away as much as 6 months of the year.
It was, and I think all of us children felt that he couldn't do that. He was so used to being on the road, so used to. We always teased him that when he came home, if he took his bedroom and made it into like a Holiday Inn, put the little air conditioning in the wall, and you know, he would feel more at home, or make it look like a Marriott hotel room. And we were serious about that because he was so used to those motel rooms that we didn't think he would be able to transition back to the home.
And he says he was a man with great energy, and a man who worked at not getting old. Yeah. So, I mean, the model here just becomes compounded, because this is a man who's maybe least likely to be able to adjust to the decline of old age.
Well, I think having my mother, my father always needed my mother. You know, he needed her counsel, and then all of a sudden, in the last years of her life, he realized how much she needed him. And for him to be able to now just be at home with her for the first time. She stayed at home with us kids while Daddy traveled, while he went around the world preaching. She traveled with him some, but her priority was the home. And so she stayed close to home. And now, in the latter years of her life, he realized now it was his turn to stay at home and not take care of his kids, but take care of her. And and he did it pretty well.
So sweet. Well, you'll laugh out loud, and you will be moved, and you will be helped, whatever place you are in life's journey. This is a book for everybody. I hope everybody will read it. Nearing Home, Life, Faith, and Finishing Well. Here's how to get your copy.
Billy Graham, by the grace of God and the support of his family and team, has guided millions of people to faith in Jesus.
Come and receive him into your heart and say yes to him.
His legacy as an evangelist is unmatched.
And eternal life does not begin when you die and go to heaven. It begins here and now when you make this choice for Christ.
Now in his 90s, he's reaching out with a final message of what it means to finish well in this life. Nearing Home is a moving narrative that speaks to this side of heaven about building strong foundations, facing life's transitions, making wise decisions, and understanding our glorious hope. This offers our thanks to you for your best ministry gift in support of Crossroads. To order your copy of Nearing Home, visit crossroads.ca, write to us in Canada or the United States, or simply call 1-800-265-3100.